Do you know the difference between proximate and ultimate reasons for behavior?
No.
Fucking awesome. Such a good frame. Okay. So the proximate reason for having sex is sex feels good. The ultimate reason for having sex is we make babies, right? So there is a outcome that you're looking to get, and there is a motivation for why you do the thing. Why do we eat sugary, fatty foods? Because it tastes good. Proximate. What is the reason our body wants us to eat those? They are calorie dense and usually rare in ancestral environments. So proximate and ultimate reasons for behavior. And as soon as the veils fall from your eyes and you realize that the reason that you think that you do a thing often isn't the reason that you actually do the thing, and that you've got this sort of set of genes that are pulling the strings and marionetting you, that's why I think evolutionary psychology, there's the two most banned, or the two most distasteful subjects in all of psychology. And this was an email sent to every psychology professor in the US, and not everyone replied.
Yeah.
The two topics that you shouldn't speak about the most, as rated by psychologists in universities, professors in America, behavioral genetics and evolutionary psychology. They were the two.
Why?
Because it takes the sense of self-authorship out of your hands. It proves that people aren't infinitely malleable. And in a meritocracy, that's something that people really don't like. Any kind of determinism, whether it be genetic, in terms of somebody's sex, in terms of somebody's race, in terms of somebody's background, in terms of somebody's anything, they hate that idea. And that's got weaponized by like some pretty fucking nasty philosophies. But there's also a ton of ground truth in it. And like telling you the only reason that you aren't a basketball player that's 6'6" is because of something that you did is not true and unfair and disempowering. But like feeding someone chicken soup for the soul and saying, no, like you can get there. And the reason is because of something that it's this structural issue or this whatever. I don't think that makes people feel more empowered. I think it makes them ultimately feel more fatalistic.
That's crazy that in academia, they were optimizing for empowerment rather than truth. It sounds contradictory.
I could see a perspective where they think we're not going to teach people that they can't be in direct control of their life, and that we want everyone to believe that they have a chance at achieving whatever they've set out to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that maybe there's some power to that in making people believe that they could do anything that they want to and not feeling restricted. Like saying, I can never be a doctor because my parents are not smart, and therefore I am destined to be dumb. And why should I even try? Because both my parents, they never amounted to anything. They're stupid. So I can never do that. Like what does that serve society? How is that better?
I agree. But the converse is also unkind in a different kind of a way, which is, oh, the reason that you didn't become a basketball player is exclusively because of you. Like that's your fault. And pick your other professional outcome equivalent that people wanted. So this is Corey Clark that did this particular piece of research. One of the other reasons that she puts forward is that you have an increasingly feminized higher education system. Very, very high number of 2 women for every 1 man completing a 4-year US college degree within the next couple of years. And then who become the lecturers? Well, the college students. So you are having an increasingly female-dominated staff in higher education as well. And if that's the case, women tend, based on Corey's research, to opt for outcomes that don't make people feel uncomfortable, even if they have to skew the truth a little bit. Whereas male teachers seem to disregard the way that things make people feel and optimize for truth instead. And this is where especially behavioral genetics and evolutionary psychology get a really, really bad rap.
What's the outcome of that? What you're saying is more female teachers and maybe skewing things to not make people feel uncomfortable. Where does that leave us? Where do we end up if that continues at the same rate?
Well, you optimize for not necessarily telling the truth all the time. And there's tons and tons of caveat. Like there's lots and lots of female lecturers out there that are bothered about the truth, that prioritize that and all the rest of it. But based on the data, it seems like you begin to skew toward a world that doesn't want to upset people. And that eventually, like you can't repurpose reality in order to fit what you want it to be. Like the facts are the facts. And if you start trying to couch things, like it's not happened, but everyone claimed that the reason that door came off the Boeing jet a couple of weeks ago was because they'd had like a ton of diversity hires. And I'm not saying that
I've never heard of that before.
There was like where was it? LA to Vegas? There was a flight from LA to Vegas, and I'm pretty sure
the door coming off.
But the point
ended there.
The point being that talking point can be weaponized by, look at all of these diversity hires. That's the reason that you can't make a door stay on a plane. That's not necessarily the truth. I'm not saying that that's the truth. But the point is, if you continue to optimize for making people feel good as opposed to, okay, what does reality say? You can imagine where there will be a time where you need to make a choice between those two. And if the implication is, we don't tell people about this psychological study, so probably doesn't matter. If somehow the implication was the door on the plane doesn't fit right, that's a big deal. Something tells me that Boeing is sufficiently smart that that's not what's going on. And also, who's to say that you can't get like perfectly competent people that are diversity hires and all the rest of it? But yeah, when you optimize for not necessarily telling the truth and trying to make people feel good with insights like that, you can quite easily see how it's a slippery slope that could end up with basically research not telling you about the world, just telling people what they think they want to hear.